Are you ready to live the life you're meant to live? Yes. There is something amazing inside of you that is wanting to give birth to itself as you. The divine presence as you. It's been waiting for millennia to show up just as you. Waiting for this wonderful I am moment to experience itself as you. To experience the light as you. To experience the gifts as you. You are an amazing person that has come here to do something amazing. So we're not here for any small stuff. Repeat after me. I am. God stuff. Any other thought is error. Just breathe into that. We're doing a treatment. Every Sunday is a treatment, and they are sequential. Now, you can come on any given Sunday and get a love blast. You can get a divine blast, but these do build upon each other. They are sequential. So, I encourage you not to miss a single Sunday because they will build, they will grow. It's like getting a weekly treatment. You know, I came here to the Wellness Center for a long time. I had envisioned coming to a place where there is a wellness center, and lo and behold, we have it. And so, you know, they're like, hey, we'll give you weekly treatments and adjustments. And I went in, and I had never heard my neck pop like that. And my back, and just all kinds of things. It was like, wow, they were just aligning and shifting me. And that's what we are doing every week. They encouraged me to continue to come back because they said it'll get better with time. Well, you know, you'll get adjusted. You'll get adapted. You'll get aligned. And this is an alignment. So we are treating today, what is it that blocks your vision? We talked last Sunday about without a vision, the people perish, or the people go berserk. That is because without a vision, we don't have a focus. Someone told me last week that it was a winter day, that they saw that the airport had the coldest temperature ever recorded here. I was like, really? Then I am in the right place. If that's the coldest it gets, I'm good, you know. Because in Kansas, you can have a wind chill of 30 below zero. You know, that's a little colder than it was last Sunday. But if you missed last Sunday, we talked about vision. We talked about how that gives us a direction, guidance, gives us strength because we have something that we are shooting for. But what is it that blocks your vision? Well, we are looking at the power of mastery or the power of power. But that sounds rather redundant, doesn't it? The power of power is really the power of mastery, the ability to create according to your intention and according to your attention. What you give attention to tends to grow. It just does. What you give attention to tends to grow. So, look at what you're giving attention to. Look at what you're giving intention to. If you think that other people are just ridiculous, why can't they straighten up? If they just listen to me, everything would be fine. You know, and some of us have this illusion that we're here to change other people. And the truth is, the best way we can work on this world is by working on ourselves, by doing the inner work. Now, when is it? June 24th? Yes. Reverend Levitt? June 24th, from 10 until 2? 10 until 4. Reverend Levitt will be teaching a class called the Q process. And the Q process looks at this concept that there's no one and nothing against us. Because there's only one power and one presence in our lives and in the universe. God, the good, omnipotence. That's our first principle in unity. So if there's only one presence, then what else could there be? Because if God is this infinite, all life, all love presence, then there's not room for anything else. So how can there be anything else against us? But Charles Fillmore, in his book Mysteries of Genesis, talks about the fall of humanity as being when we began to think of ourselves as separate, as distinct, that, ooh, you look different from me. So somehow you're not as good as me or somehow unsafe. We began to see things in separation. Fear. That's where fear entered in. False evidence appearing real. Or as someone came up to me after the first service said, false emotion appearing real. It's that stuff that our mind begins to create. And I want to look at this first passage of Scripture, which is 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Now that Greek word in the Greek New Testament for power is dunameo. Dunameo, does that sound like something familiar? Like dynamite. That's where we get the word dynamite. You have within you dynamite. Repeat after me. I am dynamite. Look out. I'm about to go off. We are here to shift this world by getting in touch with that inner power within us. And the scripture goes on to say, a sound mind. A mind is a meaning-making machine. Our mind comes up with all kinds of stories and explanations for why things happen the way they do. Our mind does it all the time. It's always making up meaning, but it's a story. It's a story. So, I'm renting a place, and after 3.5 weeks, I thought it was time to wash some clothes before there start to be complaints on the island, you know? And so I went to the laundry room, and I tried all my keys, but none of my keys worked. And the doorknob was locked, and I thought, really? I pay this rent, and they can't even afford to give me a laundry room key? You know, so I had just a small little pity party. But as Michael Beckwith says, when you're having a pity party, don't invite anybody. Don't put out RSVPs. If you're having a pity party, just have your own, by yourself, work through it. Don't invite anybody. No one wants to come to the pity party. So, you know, the doorknob's down here, and then there's this square hole, rather small, up here. And I have pretty long, flexible arms. So I reach through, and I go all the way through, and I open up the door from inside, and I'm like, yes, nothing can hold me back. I can go into the laundry room because I am using the power of mastery. So when I loaded my laundry and I walk out, I want to make sure it's locked itself. And I noticed something. The door does not latch. The doorknob, sure enough, is locked, but the door itself does not latch. I could have just pushed it open. But I had such a great story going. And that's what our mind does. It creates these stories. Do you believe everything you think? It can be dangerous to believe everything we think. I mean, we can come up with some wackadoodle stuff. Our mind, that meaning-making machine, can create stories and amazing stories. All around us, it's like people are creating a soap opera. You know, it's not a bad thing. Soap operas can be good, but people are creating the stories of their lives. They're creating these soap operas. And sometimes they come to us and want us to audition for a part. Would you like to be a part of my soap opera? You can be the victim. You can be the persecutor. What part would you like in my soap opera? It's a great drama. There will be lots of tears and screaming. Would you like to be a part? So we have this opportunity that people present us to audition for the soap opera. It's up to us whether we join it or not. Sometimes we will. We think, what the heck? We join in, and pretty soon we lose sight that it's just a story we've created. It's not reality in terms of a capital R or truth with a capital T. It's a story we've created. And so we learn to react and, improvise. We're doing improv all the time in our lives, But the truth is that there's only one presence and one power, and that means no one and nothing can be against me. That means that our lives are the very self-livingness of the divine. That means nothing can hold us back other than our own thinking. So I love this quote. I've studied the Tao Te Ching for 30 years. This is written by Lao Tzu. Stop thinking and end your problems. Now, that doesn't mean that we actually stop thinking, because our mind continues to work, it's always working. It's a meaning-making machine. But what this is teaching is an important spiritual truth. And that important spiritual truth is this. Our suffering is all created by our mind. Now, pain, I'm dangerous with a hammer. As some people here recently found out when they brought a coconut. Linda Knox brought me a coconut, and she said, hit it right here at this tip. And I missed the tip by about that far. Anyway, eventually, though, it kind of exploded all over the place. But I actually used to work at a place where I had nail guns and hammers and stuff like that. It was dangerous. It was scary. Our thoughts can create our own suffering. When I hit my thumb with a hammer, have you ever done that? How many people here have ever hit your thumb with a hammer? Yes. Did some interesting words fly out? Anyway, that was pain. Suffering would be the story I would make up about the pain. Suffering is optional. Suffering is optional. I could say, wow, that hurt. And I need to aim a whole lot better or keep my thumb away from the nail. Or, I could go into all kinds of stories. It's the same with the events of our lives. We may experience something painful, but that does not mean the world is against you. That does not mean the universe is against you. That doesn't mean other people are against you. In fact, the universe is conspiring on your behalf. The universe wants you to succeed. The universe wants you to come out of a cocoon and be this beautiful butterfly that flies. Not to be crawling around on the ground, but to fly. You are here to soar. You are here to do amazing things. It is our mind, though, that can keep us low. Now, some of you here are in aeronautics, are you not? How many people here are in aeronautics? Anybody here a pilot? Anybody here fly? Okay. All right. Now, you know about altitude, right? That's how high you are. But in flying, they also have something called an AI, which is an attitude indicator. Attitude in aeronautical terms is where you are in relation to the horizon, which can be very important, right? So you don't fly into the ground. Attitude. In the same way in life, your attitude determines how you're flying. So check your inner AI. Check your inner attitude indicator. We choose our attitude. Some people ask me, what are all these bracelets you wear? Okay, maybe each Sunday I'll tell you about one of them. Okay, the purple one is a do not complain bracelet. I was working at a hospital and, of course, worked closely with trauma doctors and surgeons. And I was handing out these do not complain bracelets. And the challenge was to go 21 days without complaining. And so I went up to a surgeon friend of mine, one of the trauma leaders there, and I said, would you like a do not complain bracelet? He said, no thank you. I won't have anything to talk about. He at least had self-awareness about his own attitude. And I thought 21 days isn't enough. And I didn't want to just go without complaining. I wanted to actually not even think a complaint. That's tough. That's lifting the heavy weights in the weight room, not even thinking a complaint. And what I realized is I couldn't stop mental complaining by telling myself, don't complain, don't complain, don't complain. Because what we give attention to grows. And what my mind was hearing was, complain, complain, complain. So I thought, what I need to do is to always focus on gratitude. And if I focus on gratitude, it will shift my thinking. So when someone would suddenly cut me off in traffic, when they suddenly moved right in front of me and almost hit me, I got to the point where I could go immediately, wow, I am so grateful that we're both doing okay, that that person is safe and I bless them and that I'm okay. I got to where I could actually do that instead of saying, what an idiot. Right? So we can choose our attitude, but it's a matter of training ourselves. And that's why it's important to be here, because we're supporting each other in making this huge shift. We are here to help humanity to awaken. And the first step is to help ourselves to awaken. So we are here as a spiritual community to help each other, to grow, to learn, to develop. And it takes practice. This is practice. You don't just come once and get it. Well, you might. And that'd be great. But most of us need some repetition and some help and some sequential treatments and learning. So please continue to come back. Next week we'll be looking at, it's Mother's Day next week, right? And so we'll be looking at what are you giving birth to in your lives. Now, what are the things that interfere with you expressing your vision and knowing your vision? It is your inner fears. Your inner fears interfere with your vision and expressing your vision. It might be a fear that you're inadequate. Maybe someone in your life, like I remember when I was in high school, and I went up to one of my teachers, and she wanted to know what I was going to do after I got out of high school, if I did get out of high school. And I said, I'm going to go to college. She could not stop laughing. She said, You're going to college? You're kidding. I don't know what someone said to you or taught you about yourself. I don't know if you were raised with negative messages or someone telling you that somehow you were inferior or didn't measure up. I don't know what messages you might have gotten that maybe somehow you weren't good enough, or maybe somehow you were botched or broken. Maybe you were taught about original sin and said from the very get-go you were messed up. I remember as a child being taught that, hey, Timmy, you were born in original sin. And that means you have this proclivity. You have this tendency to want to sin all the time. And I'm going, great. This is the good news? What's the bad news? They told me they were there to tell me the good news. The good news is you were born with original blessing. You are powerful beyond measure. You're powerful beyond measure. Now, I love science fiction, and I love this quote that comes from Dune. Anyone here ever read Dune? Yeah. All right. Okay, so there's this protagonist named Paul, and as a young boy, he's brought into this life-threatening test to see what he's really made out of, to see if he's the one. And he does this litany regarding fear. And there's a lot of metaphysical concepts in this book, including this. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear is gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. When you allow yourself to face your fears, and to face it head on, then that divine presence as you can rise up, and you find out the fear isn't even real. It just passes. It passes away, and what is real remains. The divine self, the Christ self, what you really are. And as I said, that real self is amazing, beyond what you could even conceive. Because there's only one power and one presence, that power and presence shows up as each and every one of us. I mean, just look around the room real quick. Go ahead, look around. Look at these people. Look at these beings. Do you realize that each and every being here has been millennia in the making, and that you are the outpicturing, the actual self-livingness of spirit? You are the actual divine living itself as you. Oh my gosh. You are no small stuff. And I love this quote from Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure about you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Many of us are afraid of our greatness and afraid of standing out. If I stand out, if I am that divine presence in action, then other people might say, well, who do you think you are to do that? And my response to that is, I am the self-livingness of the divine, pressed into physicality. And I'm here to do amazing stuff. How about you? Who are you and where are you from? Someone asked me this morning that was meeting me for the first time. They said, where are you from? I said, the mind of God. How about you? I said, I mean, the location you came from. Oh, okay, that's different. We are all that expression, that presence of God in action. But many of us are afraid of our light. Maybe it's because if we own up to our light, it's going to mean a big change in our life. We can't play small. It takes away our excuses. A stall tactic of the ego is to come up with excuses and say, I can't do that. Who am I to think that I'm fabulous, that I'm gorgeous, that I can accomplish these amazing things? Who am I? But I love the question, who are you not to be that? My brother, one of my brothers, I have two brothers, one of them was a kindergarten teacher for 18 years, and it was fabulous. The little kids would follow behind him like little ducks. And they would tell him, he'd give them some project to do. And then they'd tell him, well, we can't do that. I don't know how to do that. And he wouldn't scold them. He would just say, show me how you can't do that. And then they tried doing it to show him how they couldn't do it, and pretty soon they could do it. What's keeping you from stepping out into your dream? Show me how you can't. Step into your real divine self. This is no time to play small. Our humanity is getting ready for a big shift. This isn't time to just sit back like we're on a ship like the Titanic and we're all going down and we're just, going to all go down together. We are here to do something amazing. What would it mean to step into your vision? And so here's a question for you. What would you do if you knew you could not fail? What would you do if you knew all the resources were available and you could not fail? What would you do? Do it! Just do it! As you step into it, it's kind of like Moses. He was supposed to lead the Hebrew people across the sea, and the sea was to divide. Well, he had to show up. He had to step up in order for it to divide. And as you step up, the universe will back you up. The divine is there to back you up and to give you all that you need. All that you need will be supplied. It's like a pool. Everything you need will be there, so just jump in. Someone will be there to give you a life preserver. Someone will be there to hand you a drink. But just jump in. I used to teach swimming. By the way, if you heard the first service, this lesson's completely different. So listen to them both. If you're watching live stream. So, I used to teach swimming, and I taught swimming to these little kids. And I'd be reaching out to them, and some of them would be reaching out to touch my hand. And I'd be coaxing them, and they'd be stretching as far as they could. And finally, they'd jump in, just to get over that initial plunge, that initial fear. There were other kids. I'd be walking through the pool. I might be 5 feet from the edge of the pool, and suddenly, boom, they'd land on me because they were fearless. And that's how I'd like you to be. Jump in. Jump in. You're the divine in action. Wow. Why play small? Really? Why play small? We're here to do amazing things. Don't let your fears, your inner fears, interfere. But be the light, the presence of God that you really are. Let's do this together as a spiritual community and individually. Step into it. Let's do it together. Thank you. Mahalo. Thank you.